So how much money can you make with a midterm rental in Los Angeles? That's what I'm going to talk about in this video. My name is Alan. I own a midterm rental property management company here in LA. We also serve Orange County, and I'm going to show you properties that we manage and the rents that we get for them. So you can see some real life examples with real rental numbers of bookings we've had in the past year as opposed to you could always use tools and look up comps. Uh, but these are the actual rental rates that we've got. And I'll tell you a little bit if I can, if I recall, the who booked it and what kind of booking, what kind of tenant it was. So let's jump right into it. I'm gonna break this down between bedroom count. So starting from the smallest to the largest, but we don't manage small, like really small units, like studios and one bedrooms. Um, we have in the past, so I don't have anything to show you visually here because we don't have a property like that. But I could tell you a studio, furnished studio for midterm rental can rent for, I would say, 2,000, 2,500. And again, there's always a range, right? Because there's like maybe the property's older, or maybe it's newly updated with high-end finishes, the square footage, right? It could be a really small studio, it could be a big studio. And then there's always extra amenities, right? Like a house may have a pool, and stuff like that. So I'll give a range. But for your specific property, obviously, like if I looked at it, for example, I could give you a more specific range. But yeah, studios generally 2,000, 2,500, maybe 1,800 even on like an older or smaller studio. One bedrooms, kind of right above that at the 25 to 3,500 range, are one bedrooms in our experience before. But we'll jump into some two bedrooms here that we manage because most of our properties are two bedrooms and larger. Okay, so this is um, from our website. So this property is a two bed, one bath. Um, condo. It kind of has the feel of an apartment. Like if you actually went to the property or you booked it, it will feel kind of like an apartment, but technically a condo, because they're all individually owned. So two bedrooms, our two bedrooms we manage all fall in the 3,000 to 5,000 range a month. 3,000 to $5,000 a month midterm rental rates. But I'm going to show you some examples here so you get an idea. So this is more closer to the 3,000 range because it's both smaller. It's two bed, one bath, but also square footage. I don't have it here on the site, but it is smaller. It's also a bit older. I'll show you if I could find a kitchen photo. So some of the best ways to kind of see a property quickly as far as like the finishing is the kitchen and the bathroom, right? So here's a picture of the kitchen. So you could tell, older cabinets. It has one of these old, I'm sure there's a official name for this, but these like metal coil kind of electric cooktops, as opposed to the flat like glass induction ones. So those are old, it's older in that sense. This dishwasher is a little bit older. Yeah, so older home in that regard. And then also there's certain differences. For example, the laundry. So there's a photo down here, laundry room. There's no personalized dedicated laundry. It's a shared laundry room on in the building that you could pay, paid laundry. So stuff like that obviously makes this two bed, one bath less valuable. Around this one rents for 3,000 to sometimes 4,000. So like example. I'll show you another one that's very similar. That's also a two bed, one bath. This one is different in that it is a duplex unit. So it's one unit in a duplex, but similar that it's a two bed, one bath. Probably a little bit bigger square footage, not much than the previous one. Uh, but it is also older and has a shared laundry with the other unit in the duplex. So to give you an idea, again, we'll look at the kitchen. So you can see it is kind of a smaller kitchen as well. Kind of a basic stove top. I don't think this one even has a dishwasher. not updated, right? Not like newly renovated. Um, the bedroom's a little bit small, and then it has this shared laundry kind of outside with the other unit in the duplex. So both of these two get 3,000 to 4,000, which is on the lower end of a two bedroom. Um, Now let me show you a nicer two bedroom and what they rent for to give you an idea. So the nicer two bedroom, so when I say nicer, it could be again more it's newer, more updated. It could have amenities, it could be larger. Um so a more on the high end of a two bed mid rental in Los Angeles, you could expect the $4,000 to $5,000 a month rate. So this property is nice. It's a good location. It's in Rolling Hills Estates. If you're familiar with LA, it is a more affluent community. And all the community or like, the city neighborhood, benefits are there, but we're not going to talk about that. We're just focusing on the property. This is also a condo. So in our market, it's rare to find a two bedroom single family home. So if you're talking about a two bedroom mid rental, it's usually condo, townhome, a small multifamily unit, two bed, what is it? Duplex, triplex. It could be an apartment. You can rent, apartment as an MTR. So this is a condo in a larger, like multi-story building. Um, Again, we'll look at the kitchen. You'll see it's a more high-end kitchen, stainless steel appliances. The cabinet's more updated. And let's see, the bathroom has a nice bathroom, master bathroom. So this one's two bed. It's also two bed, two bath. The additional bathroom does add some value, but not a huge amount. But this one has a nice bathroom. I think this is a good photo. You see double sinks on this side, tub, as well as a shower right here on the left that you can't see. So tub and shower, big massive bathroom with a walk-in closet. And another other cool thing I'll show of this property, it has a lot of these common amenities. So most condos and townhomes have this, right? Well, this also has a in-unit washer dryer, also more high end. There is a shared like gym in the building. There is this game room where you kind of or it's kind of like a community room, we'll call it, where you could actually there's a kitchen to use, and there's a billiards table. So, and you can see kind of the outside, the style. This is a shared outdoor seating area. So this is an example again of a nicer uh two bed midterm rental uh in Los Angeles or SoCal overall that rents in the 4 to 5,000 range. And I'll show you one more that's similar to this. Just for examples. This is also two bed, two bath. It is not a condo, and like the previous examples, this one is a um, I mean, you could kind of call it duplex. It's technically an ADU. It's like a back house ADU behind the front main house, but two bed, two bath, relatively newer construction. So here you go again. The kitchen has all that modern, white, stainless steel appliances. Not very large. So you can see this photo covers the living room area. It's all open concept. The kitchen, which you could tell is not it's nice, but it's not huge. And then the dining area essentially is the bar and a small table on the side here. These two doors go to the two bedrooms. So it's, not a huge unit, but it's nice. And this one does also rent in the 4 to 5,000 range. So just another example of a nicer two bedroom midterm rental. Okay, let's jump to three bedrooms. Now, just to recap, the two bedrooms 3,000 to 5,000 is the range, right? Depending on the property. Now, the three bedrooms I'm going to show you guys uh, go as we have three bedrooms that have gone as low as 4,000 a month up, and then we have three bedrooms that have gone up to 9,000 a month. And these are just numbers from last year, 2025. So you'll notice on the low end, a three bedroom could rent very similarly to a nice two bedroom, right? So this is kind of like when you think about if you're at the stage where you're looking to buy a property for mid rental, um, or let's say um, you have a property you want to set up and furnish and decorate for midterm rentals. This shows you the value of renovations and updates, even if just cosmetic, as well as how you furnish and decorate a place and how how it presents in the photos ultimately. So so again, if you a two bedroom that's updated and set up well, rents for the same, sometimes even more than a three bedroom that's an older property and maybe not furnished and designed as well, right? So, and obviously that two bedrooms will cost less than three bedroom generally when you're buying it. So let's look at the three bedrooms. I'm gonna start with showing you the three bedrooms we have that rent for less. So two examples of three bedroom midterm rentals that rent in the 4,000 to 5,000 range. Now this is the same range, the upper end of the two bedroom properties. This one is a unit in a triplex, and again, a bit older. Here's the kitchen. So again, same idea. This looks almost like the first property I showed that was a two-bed condo. Similar type of cabinets, the tiles. It's just an older kitchen, not updated, and or not recently updated. And then we'll look at the bathroom. This is the master bathroom. So again, kind of older, the faucets and everything, the shower stall and how it's set up. Um, it actually is pretty large square footage. It's a two-story, so the bedrooms are upstairs. So size-wise, it's pretty decent. But again, it's older. The exterior of the property looks a bit older as well. And it is in a I would say like B minus neighborhood, not necessarily like a class A neighborhood. So that it plays into factor as well. So this one has rented for about 4,000 to 5,000 last year. And another example in the same price range for a three bedroom. I'm sorry, this property I haven't mentioned the cities. This property is in Gardena. So if, for those of you who know the cities here. This other one here is a San Pedro. And again, San Pedro, similar to Gardena, is depending on the area in Gardena and San Pedro, kind of I would say class B, some areas, maybe a C plus neighborhood. Nothing wrong with those. It just, just the makeup of the neighborhood and all that. So this property is set up nicely. It is actually update, some updates, right? So I believe this one, the last update was that the cabinets are painted. So you can see it is not new cabinets, but they're painted and they're, kind of mid-level appliances, I'll say. Um, it is pretty average square footage, not particularly large, but it's not tiny either. This one is a duplex unit, and again gets 4,000 to 5,000 dollars a month as an MTR. Um, yeah, but I think it's set up and designed pretty well. It just the makeup of the nature of the property, the layout, the fact that it's a duplex. Uh, we'll look at some three bedrooms that are single family homes and kind of obvious. A three bedroom single family will rent, for more than a similar three bedroom that's a duplex, right? Duplex unit. So these two examples on the lower end for three bedrooms, 4,000 to 5,000. And then we have a bunch of other three bedrooms, but I'll give you two examples where these are nicer three bedroom homes, and they rent for, I would say, when I looked it up, as low as 6,500 a month to as high as 9,000 a month. Oftentimes people ask me, what is the ideal property size or type for midterm rentals? And I usually my default answer is a three bedroom single family home. Now, if you're gonna buy like a duplex that's that costs the same amount as a three bedroom single family, yes, potentially those two duplexes, two units, if you rent them as MTRs, can earn more potentially, right? So we're not really thinking about from that point of view. Just as a single unit, the single family will rent for more than the duplex, right? So, just that's kind of on the investment side. Um, so this one is in Long Beach. It is a three bed, three bath, unique amenity. It has a pool. This one has on the low end rented for 6,500, definitely into like 7,500 range. Um, uh, but I think the potential is even higher for that, as far as what it could get as a midterm rental. So we'll look at some quick photos. This is also very newly updated and updated nicely. It's one of our more beautiful homes that we manage that I'm proud of. So you can see it's kind of zoomed out here. Here's the kitchen. There's a bar and dining area. The furniture is nice. The cabinets are new. I like this blue color. Let me get you like a closer shot of the kitchen. Here we go. So you can see it's a nice a stove top. It has this kind of nicer finish with the faucet and all that. Bathrooms. It has this is the master bath, which is also again very high-end master bath with a very large shower and a deep tub and double sinks here. And then last photo I'll show here is just the backyard, right? So it has a pool in the backyard. So again, nicer three-bedroom home. This one has been renting for 65, 7,500 a month. Um, Definitely more potential than that, but I'm sharing real numbers. Partly because this property also could be short-term rented, so the data is not 100% midterm. Um, Now, this other three bedroom is a great example that is a pure midterm rental that is only rented as a midterm. This one's in Torrance, West Torrance. So first thing I would say, it is a nice neighborhood, nice place to be, where homes cost more, rents are higher. So that's part of it. Um, it is here's the kitchen, updated home. So it looks nice. It has that, backsplash here, nicer appliances. Bathroom is nice as well. More, relatively recently updated. You can see the shower and all that. It has a really large, I think one of the best things about this property is the backyard is amazing, especially for families or people who have pets because it is fully enclosed. There is this large covered sitting area. And then if I could find an angle of it, this is kind of like if you're under the patio, looking out to the garage and the rest of the backyard. So really nice backyard, large backyard, which is great again for families, which families are a very common tenant type for three-bedroom rich rentals. So this property has been rented for as high as $9,000 a month for an insurance booking last year. Um, other bookings besides insurance usually gets this one around 7,000 to 8,000 a month. So yeah, a great example of a well-performing three-bed midterm rental. Now, the last category we'll talk about is four bedrooms. Um, Generally speaking, once you get into the five-bedroom and larger property size for midterm rentals, the performance it becomes a little bit less worthwhile because ultimately, when I think about the potential of a property for MTR, I'm thinking about what is the the difference or the premium that you would get renting that property as a midterm rental as opposed to a long term, right? Because that's your other option. If you're not making that much more renting it as a midterm than long term, probably not worth it, right? Because you have to factor in your upfront costs of furnishing and setting it up. You have to factor in your utilities as well as some vacancy, right? Even if you have a very, 90% occupancy, which is great for MTR, there's still a 10% vacancy to account for, right? It's not rented out 365 days of the year. So when you get into the five bedrooms and larger, because those properties can command a higher long-term rent, and because there's less people who are looking for a really large MTR, you should expect lower occupancy. Then your final take-home amount, gets closer and closer to what you would get as a long term. So I'll share examples of our four bedrooms, but I'll stop there. Not that a five bedroom can't work well as MTR. It's obviously case by case every property, but just generally speaking. Okay, so this is a four bedroom. This is, I would say, four bedroom that's it's kind of an older property. This is in Fountain Valley, which is in like North Orange County, if you're not familiar. It does have a pool. It's not super nice, but it definitely has a pool. Look at so this is the kitchen. Again, very similar, probably time-wise, you can kind of tell like when a kitchen or when a home was updated because of the what was in style and trendy at the time. But similar to the other properties, a couple of properties we saw earlier, that type of cabinetry and that color kind of shows some age. And you could definitely tell like this stove, yeah, this oven and this dishwasher are older. So older home, not as recently updated. You can kind of quickly see some photos here. But this home has was rented for the majority of last year at $7,500 a month with an insurance booking. Insurance bookings tend to pay on the higher end. So I would expect for this year, this property will probably rent for more like 6,000 a month if it's not an insurance booking. But last year we did get 7,500 for this one, which is great. Another example of, you know what, I missed a two bed. Well, you know what? I wanted to share this as a kind of unique example. So back to the three bedroom category. Um, this property is actually a two bed, two bath, single family home. Like if you remember, I mentioned earlier, it is rare to find a two bed, single family in general, in LA or in anywhere. Uh, but this property performs like a three bedroom, partly because it has this neat little bonus room. We call it a cabana. There's probably too glorified of a name for it, but there's this separate like bonus room built out in the backyard area. There's nothing in it. It's finished, but it has two glass sliding doors. But there's nothing else in it. We have it set up with a work desk as well as a mini gym. So that does add some value, especially for those who work from home. But this property really is updated and relatively high-end, upscale kind of finishes. And it has this amazing outdoor space that connects from the front all the way to the back of the property. Again, super ideal for families and pets. It's fully enclosed. If I stayed here, I would let my kids play outside. They can't escape, or no one, more importantly, no one can get in, right? It's secure. I'll try to get a shot of that. I don't think we have. Well, here's a closer shot of the cabana, we call it. We obviously have some nice amenities set up, a little sitting area outside. Um, Kitchen shot. Okay, so it's open concept kitchen, living room. This couch here is kind of where the living room starts. You can see it's a nicer kitchen, updated, nicer appliances. We have a nice workstation with a standing desk set up in one of the bedrooms. And then the master bath has its cool tub. So this one has rented last year between 6,500 to 7,000. Again, so it's very similar to what our three bedrooms rent for. But in previous years, we have had this property rent for as high as 11,000 a month. And now this property is in Santa Monica. So that I would say that 11,000 a month booking was the perfect sweet spot where it was a single guy with a dog, so he needed something that was dog friendly. He was here for work, so I think the workstation setup and targeted for people like that was appealing. And I'm sure the location was a factor. He needed to be close, within a certain distance from places that he needed to be. So that's, we have not seen, and we don't expect this property to rent for that much, um, regularly. But last year it was around 7,000, and pretty conservatively, this could rent for up to 8,000. I would not be surprised. So this is a two bedroom that I kind of classified in the three bedroom category. So sorry I missed that. So jumping back to four bedrooms to finish off this video. This Fountain Valley property we looked at earlier, 7,500 insurance booking last year. We had this four bedroom in Granada Hills. This one has been renting for 8,000 to 8,500 last year, and so far this year. Um, I would say this is kind of like a mid-level property. It's not super old, but not super new either. You could tell, like, even though it's older, it was definitely set up to be more upscale. however long ago it was updated. So large homes, square footage wise. Yeah, Granada Hills has some large homes. You can see from the outside, it's very wide, all single story. So you can imagine a four-bedroom home that's single story. And also, this property has an amazing backyard. It has a pool. So you kind of see from this photo. So this is standing like in the backyard facing the house. So you can see like how far the photographer is from the house. There's a pool, there's a paved area here at the basketball court. This whole area with the grass goes all along the edge of the back of the backyard. So there's turf all around. And then there's like some kind of cool seating areas. Like there's a sit out in the backyard with like a fireplace. So really nice backyard. Higher end home that is not recently renovated, is what I'll call it. So again, 8,000, 8,500 is what this was renting for. And our final last contestant or case study is a four-bedroom. This is in Baldwin Hills. Uh, Updated home, nicer home. Um, and it does have a pool. Um, and this one it's a newer property of ours. We have not been managing that long. The current booking we have is at 7,600 a month. So just very quickly, high-end, updated kitchen with nice appliances, has a pool. You can see overall, like it's set up and furnished very well. So this one's been renting for 7,600 as of today. But yeah, I hope this gives you guys an idea of the midterm rental market in LA, and based on the property size and how nice, how new or not new it is, what you can expect ballpark for your property to rent for as a midterm rental. If you have questions or you have a property you want me to give you my thoughts on as far as estimated MTR rents, reach out to me. Happy to give you my estimate. Um, and if you like this content, please like, subscribe. This year in 2026, I'm going to be posting much more content than previously. It's one of my personal goals. And looking forward to connecting with you in the future.